Hi everybody, it's Miss Pugh here. Hope you're all okay and enjoyed the snow yesterday. I've just got a quick video to help you with your maths work that's been sent with your to your parents. So this week we will be looking at area of rectangles, squares and parallelograms for year 6. Now this video is designed for year 5s and 6s. You'll both be able to use it. The last couple of slides are for year 6s, but if year 5s want to have a go as an extra challenge, that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to start with area. Area is the word used to show the amount of space that's taken up by a 2D shape. So on the right here we've got a 2D rectangle. And to find the area here you can count the squares. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes to count the squares of the rectangle on the right. Okay, so hopefully you've added all the squares up there, which would have equated to 40. So there are 40 squares in that rectangle, so the area is 40 centimetre squares because there are 40 squares. Now you can do the same with triangles as well. So there are 6 full squares in this triangle, so if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you can see as well, there are some half squares that if I put together would make a full square. So there are also 4 half squares. So there's one there and another one there. Now if I glued them together it would make a full square. There's another one there and there. Again, if I stuck them together they'd be a full square. So in total there are 8 full squares. So that triangle there is taking up 8 centimetres squared space of area. I want you to have a go quickly at counting the squares of these shapes. There's a mixture of shapes. The last 3 you can't see the squares, so you've got to try and think about the squares either side of it and how you can work it out that way. Have a go and I'll put the answers up in a couple of minutes. Right, I'm going to go through the answers for these now. So the pink one, there are 9 squares, so the answer to that is 9 centimetres squared. Moving on to the blue triangle to the right, that's the same one as I showed you earlier, and there are 8 centimetre squares. Moving on to the right of that, the shape that looks like an L is 14 centimetres squared. The green square to the left of that, so that's counting the half squares as well, so there's 4 in the middle and there's 8 around the side, so there is 8 centimetres squared. Okay, moving on to the bottom line, the first one there is 18 centimetres squared. The rectangle, although you can't see the squares, you can still imagine where they are and calculate them. 15 centimetres squared. The yellow shape, 10 centimetres squared. And the last one, which is the same as the second triangle that we've done, 8 centimetres squared. So hopefully that's easy enough. We're going to move on to now how to calculate area without adding the squares, because like the last 3 there haven't got squares to add, so sometimes we need to use a formula to help us. So it can also be calculated by multiplying the length by the width. So if you can see here, here's our rectangle. There's my length times by my width. So if my length was 8 centimetres and my width was 5 centimetres, I would do 5 times 8, which is 40, and my area is 40 centimetres squared. I want to have a go at these ones now. All you need to do is multiply the length by the width. So the first one would be 6 times 5. The second one would be 8 times 4. And the third one, 12 times 2. Have a go and I'll put the answers up in a couple of minutes. Okay, so the answers to the first one is 6 times 5 is 30 centimetres squared. The blue one, 32 centimetres squared. And the last one, the rectangle at the end, 24 centimetres squared. Right, so these slides are for the Year 6s, but Year 5s, you are more than welcome to have a go and give yourself a bit of a challenge, because I think, to be honest, you'll be able to do it absolutely fine. So a parallelogram is a four-sided shape, as we know. The formula is slightly different than a rectangle, and it's base times width, height. Sorry, I'm going to show you the formula, the pictures now. So there is a parallelogram. You can see the height and the base is labelled on there. Now, it is very similar to a rectangle in the sense that it's a little bit like height and length, length and width. Sorry. So we can rearrange this parallelogram. You see the dark side of the parallelogram, the dark shaded part, can be cut off and added to the end, there we go, to make it look like a rectangle. So the height times base is exactly the same as the length times width, as you would do for a rectangle, which is why I think you're going to be very confident at this today. So here's an example. If my height was 5 centimetres and my base was 10 centimetres, I would do 5 times 10, which is 50 centimetres squared. Very simple, very similar to the area of a rectangle and square. Could you have a go at these three? The base is the number at the bottom of the shape, the parallelogram, and the height is the number in the middle of the parallelogram. Give you a couple of minutes to have a go at these three and then I'll put the answers on. Right, so the first one, 7 times 4 or 4 times 7 is 28 centimetres squared. The one to the right of that, which is 5 times 6, which is 30 centimetres squared. And then the one at the bottom, a little bit trickier because we're doing it on 13s, but fine, 13 times 4, 52 centimetres squared. Hopefully it all makes sense. Don't get too caught up or worried about if you can't do parallelograms, because it is just the same as a rectangle. You have got a sheet that would look like this, which is sent to your parents. If you could complete that this morning or at some point today and bring it back into school tomorrow to be marked. Again, don't worry if you don't understand it too much, because we can clear up any misconceptions tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.